Hello, I'm going to be doing a quick full face video tonight using some of the newer products that I've gotten. The first thing I'm going to do is prime my face. I'm just going to go ahead and use my basic Maybelline primer that I use kind of for every day. And I will get that on first. And then I will apply my eye primer as well and then get started with the eyes. Okay. The eye primer that I'm going to be using is my Younique Moodstruck eye primer. And I do really like this eye primer. It's a little bit thicker, but I think that is the reason that I like it. I'm just going to put that all over the eyelids. The eyeshadow that I'm going to be using tonight is a cream eyeshadow. It is the Splurge Cream eyeshadow. And this is in the color Mysterious, which is a pretty shimmery maroon color. And normally you don't necessarily have to have a primer on, but I still like to have one on regardless. So I am going to take my cream shadow brush, and this is my Younique brush, and I'm just going to get some of this color on here. And I'm going to start light and then work my way to get the perfect color that I want. And I am going to kind of blend this out in between layers as well. So right now I'm just kind of getting it where I want it. And then I'm going to go ahead and just use my Younique blending brush. And I'm just going to do like the back and forth wiper motions and then kind of blend it out in the corners as well. And if you notice, I am holding the brush towards the end so I don't have such a harsh pressure on it, I guess. And that kind of makes it a little bit easier to work with as well and kind of do the back and forth, as opposed to holding it up like this and then you're putting a lot more pressure on it. So you do want to just do it very lightly. And I'm just kind of blend it into the corner right there. And then I'm going to kind of bring it up a little bit as well. Now that I've kind of blended that crease out, now I'm kind of bringing it up a little bit further just to get a little bit of color up above. Okay, then I'm going to get a little bit more on my brush and kind of just come really into the crease area where I want it to be a little bit brighter, bolder color. And then I'll still kind of blend that out just a little bit. Okay, let me get a little bit on the other eye. And I'm just going to do the same thing. Just really get it in there to give me a start. And cream eyeshadows are definitely one of my favorite new things. I actually never used them before starting with Younique, and I'm really glad that I started using them. Just going to kind of get that corner blended out so it's not so harsh. And then again, I'm just going to do like those wiper motions back and forth. And then I'm going to come up a little bit further as well into my brow bone. And again, I'm going to get a little bit more of that color on here and kind of just put that all over the lid where I really want that color to pop. And then again, I'm going to still blend that area out, just so it's not as harsh of a line. Okay, so I got that part done. I am going to bring a little bit down underneath. So I'm going to kind of get some on the tip of my brush. And bring that color down to the bottom as well. And then I will probably just use my crease brush to just kind of blend that out. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. I'm going to put just a little bit on here, just to kind of make sure that comes down. Okay. So I am now going to go in with my Younique eyeliner. And the color that I am going to use is called Prim. And I'll go ahead and do like a little swatch right there so you guys can see. So instead of going with the traditional black, I'm going to kind of switch it up a little bit, so it won't be such a harsh eyeliner. And then I am going to go up into my waterline. And then my bottom waterline as well. And this is actually more of like a shimmery brown color. And I'd almost say it's kind of closer to gold. So it's a very pretty color. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on this side as well. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do my foundation before I do anything else. And one thing, so I am going to be using my Younique Mineral Touch foundation, and this is in the color Scarlet, and I'm actually going to be mixing it with my Fit Me Dewy and Smooth, and this is in the color Classic Ivory. I have gotten just a tad bit of color, since we have had a lot warmer weather here lately, so the Scarlet and the Unique is a little bit too light. Not by much, but it's enough to where I noticed a difference. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix those together and get them in my Beauty Blender. And I'll just start with one coat to get me started and see where I need to go from there. I usually try to go for a little bit lighter coverage, especially this time of year where it is a lot warmer out. Okay, I think I'm going to add a little bit more just to make sure I get that coverage I want. Okay. And I am using a damp Beauty Blender to do this. And I can clean that area up in a second once I get some concealer on. I'll bring it down into my neckline just a little bit. Okay, so let me add a little bit of my concealer on. And this is my Mineral Touch Skin Perfecting Concealer. And this is also in the color Scarlet. So it may be a little dark, or not dark, it may be a little light, so we'll kind of see if I need to darken it up once I get it on. And I do have other concealers that I can use as well if I need to try to darken it up a little bit. I'm actually going to use my little one. So I'm just using a smaller Beauty Blender for this, just because I can get into those tighter creases a little bit easier. Okay. And I am going to add just a little bit more of that eyeshadow over here because I did cover it up a little bit too much. And I'll add a little bit more over here as well. Okay. So I got that part done. I'm going to add a little bit of my brow liner to fill in my brows just a tad because I am almost out of it. So I'm not going to get too crazy just because I am going to be running out like very soon. This is one thing that I do go through very quickly is brow liner. Okay. So I just kind of line my brows in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add some of my Epic mascara. And this mascara is definitely a game changer. I will say after discovering this, I'll probably never go back to another mascara again. I absolutely love it. And I'm sure you guys can already see why. Okay, so I'm getting a second coat on here, and I did put 2 coats on the other eye. And I would say that is what I normally do on average, but you can certainly do more. And look at those lashes. They look beautiful. Okay, so that is that. The next thing I'm going to do is just use a little bit of my Sculpting Trio to add a little bit of contour and highlight. So the first one I'm going to use is my contour right here. And I am going to be using my contour brush. I'm going to be starting with this end right here. And this is just going to help me get it on right where I want it. And I always start at the top of the ear and come right down. I want to try to get it in the same spot. Okay. And then I am going to go over it just with my Beauty Blender and just kind of pat it in there. And I think I'm going to use this one. And look at that. That turned out so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to use a smaller brush to get, ooh, that's way too big. So I'm going to use a smaller brush to get a little bit of that onto my nose as well, because that is one area that I always like to have contoured. And then again, I'm just going to kind of pat that with my Beauty Blender. And then I'm going to go down here as well. And that kind of creates that fuller lip when you get that little shadowed area underneath. And then also I'm going to come up here and do my forehead. And this really helps to just kind of create that smaller forehead. That shadow just kind of draws it in. And that is kind of what I prefer. So I do like to normally contour my forehead. But it's not something you normally would have to do, especially if you don't feel like you have a large forehead. You may not decide to contour anything at all on your forehead. So Just kind of pat that out. Okay. So I've got that part done. I'm going to add a little bit of my highlighter, and I'm just going to go ahead with my powder one, and it's just got a very light shimmer to it. And I'm going to use the other side of my contour brush. I'm going to do a Cupid's bow right there. I'm going to do this area. And then right in here as well. So now that I did that, I am going to go ahead and apply some baking powder. So the one that I'm going to use for this video is Airspun. This is a very old, as in 1935, loose translucent powder. So this is the one that I'm going to be using. This is actually what my mother-in-law introduced me to as far as loose powders go when I first was discovering that loose powder was a thing. And I do really like it. Okay, so I got it in all of the areas where I contoured and highlighted, but most importantly, I got it in my T-zone where foundation, highlight, contour, blush, all of that breaks apart a lot quicker because those are the spots that most people get oily in a lot faster. So the whole point of doing the baking is you're kind of suffocating the skin for a little bit. You're putting that layer of powder over it. Your body temperature is 98.6, so that's just going to really bring that up to your face, that temperature, and allow that makeup to really actually bake into your face. So you want to let that set there for about 5 to 7 minutes. If you're going for an even more flawless look, you can go as long as 10 and 15 minutes. And you really just want to set it out. Now, if you have extremely dry skin, I would recommend skipping the baking until you can kind of get that under control and how to get like moisture back into your skin. And instead of that, you really can just probably stick with setting spray until you kind of have a better hold on the dryness. So my skin naturally is not dry and it's not oily either. So I have very normal skin, I guess you could say. But during the summertime especially, I do get oily in my T-zone and my makeup starts to break apart a lot in those areas. So that is why I bake. So I'm going to go ahead and let this sit for about 5 to 7 minutes, and then I'll go ahead and come back and finish the rest of my face. Okay, so I'm going to just use a big fluffy brush to kind of feather this off. And I can already tell after just a few minutes that that has really given me a flawless look. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is work on my lips. For this video, I'm going to go ahead and use my Huda lip liner. And you can slightly overline your lips as well to create a more fuller look. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my Huda gloss. And I do have two different colors that I normally use, and I kind of create like a little bit of an ombre effect with them. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first one is a little bit darker, and this is in the color Bombshell. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the lighter color that is in Trendsetter. Oh, this one's actually the darker one, I think. It is. That's okay. So I am going to do the opposite of what I would normally do. Okay. Normally I would start with the darker and then put the lighter in the middle, but you can still do it either way. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of my Milani Baked Blush just to give a little hint of color in my cheeks. And I'm just going to keep this right back in this area. And I'm actually not going to go in front of that. Okay, so I got a little bit of blush on there. And the final thing that I would normally do is use my setting spray, so I will go ahead and do that. The one that I am going to use for this is my Hard Candy Long Wear Setting Spray. Put that all over. Kind of air it out for a second. And I have a finished full face look. So I am going to go ahead and let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And have a great day, everyone.